Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new Marvel Legends Civil War Scarlet Witch figure. She is part of the Abomination Build-A-Figure Captain America wave of Legends. So she's not quite out yet, but you will be able to find her soon. And for the most part, she's a pretty good figure. We have a couple of glaring flaws, but otherwise, it's pretty solid. In terms of movie figures, you know, we've been a little hit or miss with these guys, but this one's pretty decent. And since it's of Scarlet Witch, I imagine most of you are going to want to pick her up. So let's get her off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, so she stands just about 15.5 centimeters, which makes her just about 6¼ inches, which is kind of tall. She probably shouldn't be that tall. It's not a big deal. Most of the Legends aren't perfectly in scale anyway, so not really going to worry about that. The first thing that comes to mind, though, which you might have noticed, is that her energy effect is not a good one. The sculpt is probably okay. It's a little swirly type of fire thing, which, you know, that's fine, but it's barely translucent, and it has this very opaque kind of pearlescent paint on it, and then it has this dry brush of like gray. It looks very bad. Doesn't really look anything like it should. You know, in the Build-A-Figure for Jubilee, she had those little purple blasts of energy, and that type of translucent plastic would have definitely been a better choice. These things look pretty terrible. And they do fit over her hands well enough, but they're just really bulky and not very good. You know, in the movie, you could mostly see her hands through the effect things, and these are just not well done. That's really the biggest issue. We have a couple other ones, but otherwise it's pretty good. The likeness, it's not perfect. At some angles it looks a lot like her, at some angles it looks not like her at all. So I imagine if you wanted to put a good paint job on there, you could make it look pretty good. You shouldn't have to, obviously, but I think it's passable. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not good. Probably a bit heavy on the pink stuff on the cheeks, but it's okay. That's about as far as I'll go. The rest of the sculpt is pretty good. I mean, we have a lot of nice details. Obviously, they did some digital sculpting to get all the textures and things in there. We have a little bit of a weird anatomy issue in the crotch area, but otherwise, it's pretty good. So let's go ahead and run through the articulation, and I'll talk about the other stuff as we go. So the hair is really soft, so it's not going to get in the way too much. You can rotate the head around, and the hair will just kind of flex for you. And there is a hinge in the neck. Can't lean back too far though, because the hair in the back is a little bit stiffer. You can lean it forward though for a little bit of a style pose. So it shouldn't be too bad, but it's not the best. The shoulders, we have the fixed hinge, so it'll rotate in the torso. You can bring it all the way around like that. You can get it up past horizontal, past parallel to the floor, so that's pretty good. No bicep swivel in there. We have the elbow hinge, which doesn't quite give you 90 degrees, but you do get your bicep swivel down there. And then we have for the wrist, we have the opposite type of hinge. It'll lean it up and down that way. I'm not sure why they went that route, but they did. And then, of course, it will rotate. Now, on the other hand, we have the normal type of hinge. So that's a little interesting. They did, though, I want to point this out, they did sculpt the rings and paint the rings, or at least one ring on that hand, and then one ring on that hand. So that's kind of good. As far as torso articulation, the jacket is fairly soft, so you don't have to worry about it too much. You shouldn't have too much trouble posing it, and you do have the diaphragm joint that leans about that far forward, which isn't a ton, but it's probably enough. And then it leans pretty far back, but of course the jacket will limit that to a degree. It will rotate around, and you can lean side to side, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem in the torso. Now for the hips, they don't go that far forward, but it's probably far enough. And as far as going out to the side, she's about the same as Pizza Spider-Man. Not the best. She probably doesn't need it, but it's not there. We do have a thigh swivel, which is fine. Double jointed knee, which works perfectly well. No issues there. And then for the ankle, we have a hinge, which gives you really good range. And then you have the ankle rocker, which is basically useless because it goes almost perfectly straight down. So it gives you this really awkward angle that's not helpful at all. So the articulation's not the best, but it's probably good enough for the character. And like I said, the jacket's soft, the hair's soft, shouldn't be a problem. The one sculpting issue I wanted to talk about is if you look at her stomach to crotch area, if I can get this jacket out of the way, it's got this kind of weird dip. It just looks weird. It kind of sticks out at her stomach, which would be normal, but then it just kind of disappears completely. It just drops off, and her crotch is very oddly sculpted. I know that sounds weird, but it is like her legs stick out way far forward from the crotch, and it looks very, very strange. So you're gonna have to live with that, unfortunately, but I think it's passable. It does have some issues, like I said, but for the most part, it looks okay. Not too bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So if you're trying to build out the live action collection, you should probably pick her up. She's not the best, but she is definitely passable. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every single day. We talk about action figures, custom figures, video games, movies, TV, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you subscribe. And in the meantime, keep collecting.